Once upon a time, in a forest filled with the most beautiful music you could ever imagine, there lived a little bluebird named Pico. Now, Pico wasn't just any bird. He was the smallest bird in his family's nest. But oh, he was also the loudest and most cheerful singer. Every single morning, before the sun even thought about peeking over the horizon, Pico would start his concert. His melody was so sweet and clear that it would gently wake the flowers, coaxing their petals to open one by one to greet the new day. The entire forest adored him. The tall, ancient trees would sway their branches to his rhythm, their leaves rustling like soft applause. The river, which usually rushed and tumbled, would slow down to a gentle hum, accompanying his song as it flowed through the woods. Pico was the heart of the forest, and his music was its heartbeat. He loved his life. He loved singing from the highest branch, feeling the morning sun warm his feathers, and seeing the world wake up to his song. But one windy afternoon, everything changed. Pico was perched on his favorite branch, right at the top of a grand old oak tree, singing his heart out as usual. Suddenly, the sky turned a dark, angry grey. A storm, fierce and unexpected, blew across the forest. The wind didn't just whistle. It roared like a hungry lion. The trees didn't just sway. They bent and groaned under the force of the gale. A particularly strong gust of wind hit Pico's branch, and in an instant, he lost his balance. He tumbled through the air, a tiny blue speck against the raging storm, and landed with a soft thud in the tall, thick grass below. When Pico finally woke up, the storm had passed. The sun was trying to peek through the clouds, and the air smelled clean and fresh with rain. He shook his head, trying to clear the fog, and then he tried to stand. He felt a bit dizzy, but otherwise okay. He looked up, saw the sky clearing, and thought, "Time to fly back up." He prepared to take off, gathering his strength. He flapped his wings, but nothing happened. They felt strangely heavy, like they were made of stone instead of feathers. He tried again, flapping harder, but they just trembled weakly and refused to lift him from the ground. Panic began to creep into his tiny heart. He tried again and again, but it was no use. Pico, the bird who loved the sky, was stuck on the forest floor. Days turned into weeks. Pico's voice was as strong and beautiful as ever. Oh, how beautifully he still sang. He would sing to the sunrise, his melodies still filled with longing and hope. But his heart ached whenever he saw the other birds. He would watch them soar and glide effortlessly across the vast blue canvas of the sky, dipping and dancing on the wind. A deep sadness would settle over him, and he would whisper to himself, his voice barely audible, "Maybe I just wasn't meant to fly. Maybe I was only ever meant to sing from down here." So, he began a new life, a life on the ground. He spent his days walking through the undergrowth, exploring a world he had only ever seen from above. He made new friends. He had long, slow conversations with snails about the dampness of the earth. He learned the best places to find nuts from the chatty squirrels. He sat by the pond and listened to the frogs share their boisterous laughter. He discovered a whole new kind of beauty in the small things. The delicate patterns of frost on a leaf, the earthy smell of moss after a rain shower, the gentle sound of raindrops tapping on mushroom caps. He learned to love this new, smaller world. But at night, when the forest grew quiet and the stars filled the sky like scattered diamonds, he would look up and sigh, a deep, heavy sigh filled with an old wish. He just wanted to touch them, just once. One bright morning, as the sun's golden rays cut through the morning mist, Pico was humming a soft tune to himself while sitting on a sun-warmed rock. It was then that he met Lyra, a wise old dove with feathers the color of soft morning clouds and eyes that held the kindness of ages. She had been listening to his quiet song, She landed gracefully beside him and asked in a gentle, soothing voice, "Why aren't you flying, little one? A song as lovely as yours deserves to be heard from the treetops." Pico lowered his head, his tiny shoulders slumping. "I forgot how," he confessed, his voice trembling slightly. "It's been so long. My wings, they don't listen to me anymore." Lyra smiled, a warm and understanding smile. She looked at his drooping wings, then back at his sad eyes. "Then maybe," she said softly, "you should stop telling them what to do and start singing to them instead." Her words echoed in Pico's mind all day. Sing to his wings? What did that even mean? He had sung to the sun, the flowers, the river, but never to a part of himself. That night, a full moon hung in the sky, bathing the forest in a silvery, magical light. Pico felt a surge of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Courage. He decided to try. He used his beak and claws to slowly, painstakingly, climb his favorite old oak tree, the one he had fallen from. His tiny legs shook with the effort, but the gentle moonlight seemed to whisper encouragement to him. When he reached a familiar branch, high above the forest floor, he took a deep, shaky breath. He looked at his wings, which lay still at his sides, and then he began to sing. This song was different. It wasn't for the forest, or the stars, or the dawn. It was a song just for his wings. It was a gentle, quiet melody, woven with memories of the wind beneath them, of soaring through clouds, of dancing in the sunlight. Each note was filled with hope, a quiet promise that he hadn't given up. The music wrapped around his feathers like a warm, comforting lullaby. And then, something miraculous happened. Slowly, tentatively, his left wing began to move. Just a small twitch, then a small flap. Hope surged through him, and he kept singing. Then the other wing joined in. A small flap, then another, a little stronger this time. The air caught beneath them, lifting him just for a second. Pico gasped, a sound mixed with surprise and laughter. He sang louder, his voice now ringing with joy and triumph. And before he even realized what was happening, he wasn't just flapping, he was gliding. He was flying through the cool night air, his song echoing through the silver clouds as he soared higher and higher. From that night on, Pico's song had a new purpose. He still sang to wake the flowers and greet the dawn, but he also sang to remind the whole forest, and more importantly, to remind himself that even when you think you've forgotten how to do something you love, even when you feel broken, your heart remembers, your spirit remembers. And sometimes all it takes is one true song, sung with all your heart, to help you fly again. And if you ever find yourself walking through a quiet forest on a clear night, listen closely. You might just hear a beautiful, hopeful melody floating down from between the stars. That's Pico, singing to every dreamer down below, his voice carrying a timeless message. You haven't forgotten. You're just waiting to remember. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the heart.